Now let's see the group multiplication table. Okay, in the previous class we saw the group of symmetry of a square, and we saw there are 8 elements in the group, and the product of the elements of the group can be represented in the form of a table, a multiplication table. Okay, so the product of the group elements, C4mx, it can be sigma 4 Cu or C4 cube, sigma u, sigma v. Okay, so when you take product of any two elements in the group, you are getting an element in the same group. That is the closure property of the group, the first property of the group. Okay, so these products can be represented, products of the group elements can be represented by a table known as group multiplication table. It is shown here. You know, we have 8 elements in our group, so we have 8 elements denoting the first operation, which is written in the row form, and the second operation that is written in this form. Okay, in the column. So first operation that is written in this row, and second operation is written in the column. And the product of the two elements. Okay, suppose I want C4 cube, C4 square. Okay, C4 cube, C4 square. So C4 cube, this is a row of the C4 cube. Okay, and C4 square, this is the row of the C4 square, column of C4 square. So C4 is the result. C4 cube, C4 square is C4. Okay, and here we saw C4mx is sigma u. C4mx is sigma u. So we take C4 here. See the fourth row, C4. Mx is the fifth column. So C4mx is sigma u. Okay, fourth row and the fifth column, the element that we are getting is sigma u. Okay, so the product of various elements in the group can be represented by this group multiplication table, and in the product, that example is again given here. The product C4mx, mx is the first operation, and C4 is the second operation. So the entry for C4mx, the product of C4mx, that would be found in the column corresponding to mx. Okay, column corresponding to mx, and the row corresponding to C4. Okay, now the important thing is the ordering of the rows and columns in writing down the multiplication table of the group. That is immaterial. The order is immaterial. See, in the first operation, which is written in this row, the first row, C4, C4 square, C4 cube. But when it comes to the second operation, which is written in the column, this column, here we see first we have written E, identity element, then C4 cube, then C4 square, then C4, and then mx, my. So this is different. The order is different. Okay, so the ordering is immaterial. We have chosen a different ordering for the rows and the columns. Okay, the ordering is done in such a way that the principal diagonal elements contains only the identity element. So this way we are ordering the rows and columns. It is such that the principal diagonal elements contain only the identity element. So when we look at this, we can see there are identity elements on the diagonal. Okay, on the diagonal everywhere you can see the identity element. So it is very easy for us to identify the inverse of each element. Inverse of C4 cube is C4, inverse of C4 square is C4 square, inverse of C4 is C4 cube. Okay, So this way we can very easily identify the inverse of each element. So the ordering of the rows and columns is done in such a way that we get E, the identity element, on the diagonal of the multiplication table. Okay. Now with regard to the multiplication table, there is an important theorem, the rearrangement theorem. Okay, which says that in the multiplication table, each element of the group occurs once and only once in each column or row. Okay, each element occurs only once. Okay, once and only once in each row or column. So look at the row or column. Each element occurs only once. No element is repeated. Okay, in the multiplication table, when we look at a column or row, no element is repeated. So each element occurs once and only once. This is known as rearrangement theorem. Okay, this can be stated in another way also. The arrangement of elements in a row is different from that in every other row or column. Okay, so arrangement of elements in a given row or column is different from arrangement of elements in every other row, okay, or every other column. So that is quite clear here. No element is being repeated. So the arrangement of elements in a row is entirely different from arrangement of elements in every other row. And in the case of column, arrangement of elements in a column is different from arrangement of elements in every other column. Okay, so this is the rearrangement theorem. It follows from the result that each element of the group occurs once and only once in each column or row. Now we give a proof of this theorem. To prove this theorem, we first show that no element can occur more than once in a row or a column. Okay, we first show that no element can occur more than once in a row or a column. For example, suppose that an element D occurs twice in a column corresponding to the element A. See the element A. This is the column corresponding to element A. And we see for B and C, that is BA is D and CA is also D. For the rows in B and C, the D occurs. So in the column corresponding to element A, D is actually repeating. Okay, D occurs twice in the column corresponding to the element A in the multiplication table. So this means that there exist two elements B and C such that BA is D. Okay, BA is D. From this we can say BA is D and CA is also D. Okay, BA is D and CA is also D. So multiplying from the right by A inverse. We are now multiplying from the right by A inverse. Okay, in both equations, BA equal to D and CA equal to D, we are multiplying from the right by A inverse. So we get B equal to D A inverse. Okay, A inverse A is E. Okay, what is A inverse A or A inverse? That is equal to the identity element E. And when the identity element combines with the B, you will get B itself. Okay. So when an identity element combines with an element, you will get that element. And this is how we define the identity element. So B is D inverse, C is DA inverse. Now when we look at these two equations, the right hand side is same. So B is equal to C. So B is equal to C, which is not true, because when we define a group, we have said that group elements are distinct. So group elements are always distinct. Okay, see the underline. The group elements are distinct. Group element should be distinct. Then only that set forms a group. Okay, so no element can repeat in a column corresponding to a given element. Same argument can be used, same line of argument can be used to show that no element can occur more than once in a row. Okay, no element can occur more than once in a row. The same line of argument can be used. Now the second part is now easy to prove. Okay, what was the rearrangement theorem? No, that each element of the group occurs once and only once. The first part is it occurs once. And what is the second part? And only once. That's the second part of the theorem. So first part we have proved it occurs only once. Then the second part is, since no element can occur more than once in a row or in a column, and since the number of places to be filled in each row or column is equal to the order of the group, that is equal to the number of elements in the group, each element must occur once and only once in each row and in each column. Okay, so the thing is, the idea is this: an element cannot repeat. Okay, then what is it? The number of places to be filled in each row or each column is equal to the order of the group, the number of elements in the group. That means each element must occur once and only once in each row and in each column. So this completes the proof. So this is the rearrangement theorem connected with the multiplication table. Okay. Then we are going to write group multiplication table corresponding to few groups. Okay, actually this group we have seen earlier. We take the first group 1 minus 1, group of order 2. Okay, very simple example, group of order 2. And the law of composition is multiplication. See, I have written the multiplication table here, group multiplication table. See, the two elements 1 minus 1, 1 minus 1. You know 1 into 1, that is 1. 1 into minus 1, that is minus 1. Minus 1 into 1, minus 1. Minus 1, minus 1, 1. So, this is the multiplication table. We can very easily identify the inverse. Inverse of minus 1 is minus 1 and identity element is 1. Okay. So this is a very simple example. Next we see a group consisting of 4 elements. What are the elements? 1, I, minus 1, minus I. Okay, 1, I, minus 1, minus I. Okay. Then we write the multiplication table. See, we always write the multiplication table in such a way that we get our diagonal elements as the identity element. Okay, diagonal elements are the identity element. 1 is the identity element. So in the diagonal we are getting 1. And on the row we have written 1 minus I minus 1 I. And on the column 1 I minus 1 minus I. The ordering is different. Okay, we haven't used the same order for row as that of the column. The ordering is adjusted. We are adjusting the ordering in such a way that we get identity element on the diagonal. Okay, we are getting identity element on the diagonal. So it is now very easy to find the inverse of each element. Inverse of I is minus I, inverse of minus 1 is minus 1, inverse of minus I is I, that we know. Okay, now we consider a group of matrices, only 2 elements A and B. Okay, only 2 elements A and B, A 1 0 0 1, B minus 1 0 0 minus 1. A composition B, when you take A composition B, you will get B composition A, that is also B. Here A is the identity element. A composition A, B composition B, that is the identity element. So this is the multiplication table. A, B, okay. So what is inverse? A is the identity element. Inverse of B is B is itself. Okay. Now we see a group of symmetry of a rectangle. Okay, group of symmetry of a rectangle. This has to be done as an assignment. We have the rectangle like this. 4 corners are 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D. Identity element is no transformation or rotation through 360 degree. This is a mistake, it's 360 degree. Okay, C2, what is C2? We are rotating through 180. If you rotate through 180, you will get a symmetry transformation. And we say it has got a two-fold symmetry. Okay, when we rotate through 180, A in the corner 1, that will come in the corner 3. B in the corner 2, that will come in the corner 4. Same way C and D will change positions. And this is a C2, a clockwise rotation through 180 degree, two-fold symmetry. In the case of C4, in the case of a square, we saw it is a C4. The first operation was C4, and it has got four-fold symmetry because if you rotate it through 90 degree, okay, in steps of 90 degree you get various symmetry operations. So here you have to rotate it through 180 degree to get a symmetry transformation. So what you have is C2, which has got a two-fold symmetry. And what is MX? MX is the reflection along the line phi 7, okay, along the x-axis. That is the symmetry transformation. And what is MY? Reflection along the y-axis. 6, 8, you can call 6, 8 along y direction. That is MY. And here you see that we don't have sigma u or sigma v. Sigma u and sigma v we had used in the case of square. It is along the diagonal. Okay, that is not here. So these are the various transformations. So how many elements are there in the group, symmetry group? We have 4 elements: E, C2, MX, MY. Okay, only 4 elements for this rectangle. Sorry, we are using this rectangle. So when it comes to a square, we will have 8 transformations, but when it comes to a rectangle, we will have only 4 transformations. Now you have to find C2MX. What is C2MX? You have to find what is C2MY. You have to find MX, MY. Okay, things like that have to be found out, and you have to form the multiplication table. You can form the group multiplication table. So that is left as an exercise for you. So this is all about the multiplication table, and the theorem connected with the multiplication table is the rearrangement theorem. Okay.